There's no way you'll catch any of these candidates wearing green this election cycle. Newt Gingrich once sang the same song as Democrat Nancy Pelosi.
We do agree our country must take action to address climate change.
But now,
I don't think we know. I think that the evidence is not complete.
Mitt Romney, for example, once said he believed in man-made climate change. Now, he's not so sure.
The idea of spending trillions and trillions of dollars to try and reduce CO2 emissions is not the right course for us.
Others, well,
has been politicized.
Flat-out denial.
There are a substantial number of scientists who have manipulated data.
There is no such thing as global warming. You have hundreds of factors that cause the Earth to warm and cool.
Carbon dioxide is not a harmful gas. It is a harmless gas.
John Huntsman once declared loyalty to global warming science.
The minute that the Republican Party becomes the anti-science party, we have a huge problem.
But now, it sounds like he's getting cold feet.
I don't know. I'm not a scientist, nor am I a physicist.
So if you're a Conservative voter in the upcoming New Hampshire battleground primary and you believe in climate change, what do you do? Farrell Saylor, a 67-year-old Conservative, says enough is enough. He started his own grassroots group called the New Hampshire Republicans for Climate, and he's hosting his own conference here in Portsmouth on the state's small stretch of coastline.
What my concern is that moderate, reasonable, enlightened, rational Republicans are not willing to step forward, provide a countervailing influence, if you will, within the Republican Party. They don't listen to us. Republicans have a tradition. I mean, it was Teddy Roosevelt who gave us the national parks. Richard Nixon is not exactly one of my favorite Republican presidents, but he did give us the Environmental Protection Agency. So when you say Republican thought, you're really talking about a small clique of, frankly, freaks claiming that they are the mainstream philosophy of the Republican Party. I don't think that's true. To have a reasonable understanding of the science of climate change, to acknowledge that basically is to kick yourself out of the Republican Party.
You're hearing from now a conservative, right?
Someone with first-hand experience of that is keynote speaker and former Republican Congressman Bob Inglis.
It was a spectacular faceplant.
The two-time representative for South Carolina was swept from power last year, a victim, he says, of climate change.
Well, I committed a number of heresies that got me tossed out of Congress, but the most enduring one was saying that climate change is real. That constitutes, I suppose, a change of position, which, of course, is a problem in politics. I know that it didn't fit the sort of Tea Party anger in 2010, but it's not real conservative to base your public policy on a real distinct minority when the 97% are saying, let's act. The challenge that we have as conservatives is we don't like government picking winners and losers when it comes to commercialization. The better thing to do, I think, is to eliminate all subsidies and then let's have a competition. This is the message of conservatism that fits all flavors of conservatives.
Among Republicans in New Hampshire, something like 35% believe that climate change is happening now, caused mainly by human activities. Actually, I think it's less than 30, it's about low 30s. A distinct minority. What we see here is a strong gradient.
Larry Hamilton from the University of New Hampshire says that the climate debate is the most partisan issue he's seen in 3 decades.
I think it's now more divisive on the surveys that we do than the former hot-button social issues. Do you trust scientists as a source of information about environmental issues? Then we get 67% of the Democrats say yes, and only 42% of the Republicans. So there's a party gradient in whether you trust science. People who say they know little or nothing about the issue are lining up with their parties. They're getting with the program.
I never thought of myself as a conservative scientist. We've just been a little bit startled by how much it's gone up.
MIT climate scientist and Republican voter Kerry Emanuel doesn't need any convincing.
I decided that I personally would sort of come out of the closet and say I'm one of the rare examples of a scientist who's a Republican, is to try to tell fellow Republicans, look, responsibility is a big Republican theme. Why should they not take responsibility for what we collectively are doing to the climate system? Interesting question. Who will I vote for in the presidential primary? I haven't decided yet.
Okay. Who's impressing you?
Well, I'm impressed on the climate issue with John Huntsman.
Who's making sense to you? Who's speaking your language on this topic?
Well, I better not name them. Their association might hurt them.
It makes me feel, to some extent, disgusted with politics and to some extent ashamed to be an American.
We're going to be looking for a candidate and a set of policies that address these issues. And if that does not happen to be a Republican, too bad for the Republicans. And that's coming from a Republican.
Farrell invited both Mitt Romney and John Huntsman, but despite John Huntsman campaigning that day at a New Hampshire gun factory and Mitt Romney preparing to attend a state campaign lunch the next day, neither showed up.